So it's been a hard time for Palantir since earnings, as the stock has just basically gone down. But we have billionaire investors loading up the boat on Palantir, but we have more insiders selling, and we have new information on stock-based compensation that is both good and bad for us as shareholders, and you need to know all about this. Well, you guys come here for the truth, and that's exactly what you're gonna get as we'll discuss each one of these topics in detail, so that way you understand exactly what each one means for the stock itself. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype. And just make sure you do that for all the creators that you enjoy. That's really how you help us out in the end. All right, so number one, Billionaire buys Palantir. All right, so Stanley Druckenmiller, and I understand I'm probably saying that wrong. I never pronounce his name right. Anyways, he bought a bunch of Palantir stock, which he's been in and out of Palantir stock before, and he sold some NVIDIA to also do that, which of course some people are saying that's bullish for Palantir and bearish for an NVIDIA. Now this happened right before NVIDIA's earnings here, so just kind of get that out of your mind for a second whenever those narratives were coming up. So let me kind of break this down for you guys piece by piece in regards to Stanley Druckenmiller in general, both for the Palantir side, and we'll touch on NVIDIA just a touch here too. But I could care less about this, and let me break down to you why. I'm just going to read right off the sheet here, guys. I apologize, but it's the best way to keep up with this. But these are his actual buys and sells on Palantir over the years here. So back in 2021, he bought around $27 and then sold it around $24 for a loss a few times. So basically bought a few times, sold a few times, and clearly took a loss there on Palantir. Then he bought back in at $13, but then he averaged down to around $9 or so. But then he sold at an average of $8 just last year. So again, he took another loss on Palantir stock. And now he's buying again this year for an average of around $21 or so for Palantir. So when I'm looking at that right there, his Palantir track record is terrible. Basically, when he buys, the stock goes down. And more importantly, as we just saw with NVIDIA's earnings, the shares of NVIDIA that he sold, well, he'd be up on those shares, and he's down on the shares of Palantir that he bought with that money. So, again, not good timing at all the way around for this guy. Now, I got to give him credit. He did buy a lot of NVIDIA. I mean, a lot of NVIDIA towards the bottom. Now, how many times he's trimmed, I have no idea. I'm sorry, I didn't go back and look up the entire NVIDIA amount that he's bought. But I got to say, his NVIDIA call was great. Obviously, he's trimmed, which I'm sure he wishes he has every one of those shares back, given their performance over the past, year or so. But nonetheless, in general, this performance shows you that it's not great. And when you're dealing with hedge funds and you're dealing with folks about that like that, it's about assets under management. That is what matters. That is what creates these billionaires, these guys, and all this other stuff like that. And they always talk about their winners, and they very rarely talk about their losers. The bottom line is dead people beat traders in regards to return, and just a basic index fund beats hedge funds. So I pay no attention to what any of these guys are doing. I could care less if he was buying, if he was selling, if he was going short, if he was all in on Palantir. I could care less. It indicates nothing because these guys are trading, they're playing a different game, and there's just a whole lot of other factors that have zero to do with where I think Palantir is going in the future. For me, even if I would have started as high as he would have in regards to starting to buy a Palantir there, I would have just averaged down the whole time, have this incredible share count, and then be able to just enjoy the run up and not worried about trading in and out of everything. So for me, this is absolutely useless. So when you see articles like this where it's like billionaire buys Palantir and people get all excited like, oh, what does this mean for Palantir? It means nothing. Same thing when these guys sell. It means nothing. Number two, insider selling. So once again, we had insider selling to include Peter Thiel selling a huge amount of Palantir and a few of the directors selling Palantir stock as well. And of course, this once again kicks up as kind of narrative as, hey, what's going on Palantir? Is this kind of a indication of there's problems or some bad quarters are coming or where they think the stock price is going or anything else like that? And guys, you have to understand this. Anytime you see insider selling, it is laughable to draw any of those narratives out there. I understand YouTubers like to do it and they think they have this cool inside track or something else like that. It is utterly ridiculous. As much as we, let me explain why. As much as we criticize the SEC and how inept that they are, there are two things, just two things that the SEC formally enforces heavily. The law is slanted in their favor. And unlike a lot of times when the SEC goes after somebody or, when they go after one of the big tech firms or whatever, and of course, the big tech firms roll out, 50 lawyers of the best lawyers in the world and all that sort of stuff. The only things that they can seem to be able to stick in the way the law slants to where they can put people in jail is two things: cooking the books and insider trading. which if you think directors or somebody like Peter Thiel, somebody else like that is selling to indicate what's going to happen in the short term, that is insider trading, and they will nail you guys. They sent Martha Stewart to jail, for God's sakes, over a few $100,000. They will nail you. They do it repeatedly with the insider trading thing. And what you've got to understand more importantly is it's not like, they talk with Alex, they get to look at the numbers there and they go, ooh, these look bad. Oh, the Wall Street's not going to like this. Let me just sell. That's not what happens at all. These sells are planned months, if not years in advance, and for a variety of different reasons. There's literally 1,000 reasons I can think of for somebody to sell a stock, from everything from, hey, I just had some shares that vested, so now I have a big tax bill because once those shares vest, there is a IRS bill due with that. So you sell some of those shares in order to pay that bill. Sometimes it's to buy a yacht or a house or something like that, depending upon the level of compensation there. Sometimes it's to buy a new company or start a new company altogether, or to put that capital into a different asset class altogether because you want to chase another opportunity out there in the market, or just simply diversify what you own. There are thousands of reasons that are planned out months, if not years in advance, but it is laughable to think you are gaining any sort of insight by paying any attention to what this is. I literally pay no attention. This wasn't even a thing until like 2020 or so, when, people here on YouTube started talking about it. And then of course, the finance media gives us exactly what we want, which means narratives that start off as something that we, investors prior to 2020 would just chuckle at, now have become headline news, on CNBC and others there. So this is just one of those deals. It's not even worth your time to pay attention to it or anything else like that. Now, if you got an insider buying, that can generally be a good sign, meaning they feel the shares are cheap, or, basically just showing that they believe in the company long-term. Those right there, to me, can be positive signs. But insider selling, with the way the laws are set up, and more importantly, you getting very real jail time for that. I mean, there's 1,000 different things you can do as a CEO or as a board of directors or, as an investor, whatever the case is, that, hey, the SEC will try to enforce, but they really can't. They don't have any teeth to really go after it. Insider selling is one of the ones. They have massive teeth. The law is slanted in their favor, and you can hire the best lawyers in the world, and they are not getting you out of it. So people just don't play with that. They'll cheat and lie and steal and everything else in a lot of different ways, but it's not going to be in that direction. So just kind of get that out of your head whenever you see this sort of stuff and you see a narrative out there and somebody talking up, being all scary and trying to create these narratives. It's laughable, guys. Just move on from it. But if you want to see my inside moves to see if I'm selling or buying more Palantir right now, both in my $250 portfolio and in my main portfolios, the $15 tier and the sale for my group ends this weekend, guys. This is your last chance to get this pricing. I've extended the tiers, or extended spots in the tier there, the $15 tier, to try to accommodate as many of you guys as possible. But after this weekend, I've got to cut it off and the price is going up to the normal price. So make sure you lock in your spot today if you want that, or if you want a full membership on sale, make sure you lock that in, where you get 5 courses for free. You get to see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, see my complete watch list with price targets, get your free coaching sessions that are going great. Make sure you use our stock analyzer tool, be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. Guys, there's so much more involved in the group. Just check out the pinned comment down there, check out the 2 tiers, and see which one is the right one for you. And make sure you take advantage of the sale before it expires this weekend. So number 3 is stock-based compensation. All right, so I got to give credit to Arnie here that you guys see up there on the screen. Again, I can't pronounce his last name, I apologize. But I got to give credit to him for breaking down what was in the earnings there. And honestly, I overlooked it, so I did miss this. But he gave a great breakdown that makes it very, very easy to understand what's going on here. So let's just kind of go through it here quickly, then I'll give you my take on it. Palantir new stock-based compensation package. The stock needs to exceed $50. In the latest Q1 results, there's a tiny crucial detail. Palantir granted 44 million stock appreciation rights, SARs, to employees. How does this work? SARs are a way to incentivize employees by giving them the right to receive in cash the difference between the stock price and the target if certain conditions are met, in this case, stock price. The goal is to align employees with shareholders. So here are the details. $50 target and 5 years of continued service, $20 max appreciation per SAR. In simple terms, employees will be entitled at the end of 5 consecutive years at the company to benefit from the difference between the stock price and $50, but with a cap of $20 per SAR. So for instance, if in 2029 the stock is $30, the SAR is worth 0. If it's $50, the SAR will be worth 0. If it's $60, each employee gets $10 per SAR. If it's $80, each employee gets $20 per SAR. If it's $100, each employee gets $20 per SAR. So you kind of see how it's capped right there. With SARs, employees receive typically cash equal to the difference between the stock price and the target. SARs are a way to incentivize employees by aligning them to the performance of the business/stock while not issuing further shares. Big key there. Differently from options execution, there is no issuance of new shares and no cash out from employees. Assuming that all the employees receive some SARs, if the stock exceeds $70 in 2029, each employee will receive an average of $240,000. This is on top of the regular shares employees vest during their time at the company in the form of restricted stock units, RSUs. This is a massive shift in stock-based compensation. So as you guys can see right there, to me, this is a big win for us as shareholders. The money's already being put out there for it. It's already going to be there, already going to be accounted for, which is great. And it aligns, basically it's there for their taking. They need to get Palantir up to those prices so that way they can cash out that money, that additional money that will come in the form of a bonus. I'd assume that's how they're going to cash it out. Obviously, we'll see how they execute it in the meantime. But in terms of us as shareholders, how it's going to come out, it's already taken care of for us. And this is another way to incentivize employees without further diluting the stock, which I know that's been a common complaint. We've talked about and kind of debunked it before here on this channel. But, and again, more importantly, it's going down every single year. So it's a way to continue to get compensation and get talent in, but then also continue to incentivize them in the future. But more importantly, align their values with shareholder values, which is great, which is exactly what we want to see as shareholders, is seeing our values align with the employees' values, not just the employees getting shares of stock and those kind of being a call option per se. Now there's a tangible number that they know that they can get if they can get the stock price there. And of course, also stick around with the company, not leave and go some other place as well. So you get to keep the good employees there, keep them vested in what's going on with the stock and the company overall. So that way everybody kind of stays aligned. So for me, this is a huge win overall. So what does all this mean for Palantir stock? So a billionaire buying, I mean, who freaking cares? Insider selling, again, a big nothing burger, nothing there. Now this new stock-based compensation thing is very good for us as shareholders over the long run, but it means nothing in the short term. So keep that in mind. It means nothing, but what it does do, and this is the big positive right here, guys, don't miss this. It gives me more conviction in the stock long term, because that is exactly how they are aligning the company and aligning these goals, is with what I want long term. And they're kind of giving you a hint as to where they think they can go in the future by 2029 and some other things like that. Now, I know some of you guys are expecting, $500 in 3 years and crazy stuff like that. I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you there. I have no way, and when I look at valuation, I have no way of getting to that valuation in that short of a period of time. It takes it's all speculation at that stage trying to get there. However, if I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, in 5 years, if we can get to, $70, $80, $90, that is a great return on my capital. And I would be very pleased as a shareholder, even at prices today. I would be incredibly happy as a shareholder. So that for me is extremely positive for us long-term. Short-term, it means nothing. It's not going to move the stock. It's not going to give us a double up tomorrow or anything crazy like that. Long-term, I think it aligns very well for me. And of course, it continues my conviction in Palantir moving forward. But am I going to add more of that stock? And would I add to that stock if I was starting a portfolio from scratch? Well, get the exact answers to that if you take advantage of the sale that ends this weekend, guys. This weekend it ends for my group, where you get to see those buys in that $250 portfolio. I'm starting from zero, building it up to a six-figure and beyond portfolio. What I buy at Palantir, you see exactly that. And then you can also, if you want to be a full member, see all the buys of Palantir that I've had in the past and the ones that I'll make in the future possibly, if you're a member there as well, and see exactly what I'm doing there. See my complete watch list with price targets, where you see exactly what that is for Palantir and other stocks. You can be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. Take 5 courses for free to understand and learn valuation, how to plan, all kinds of other stuff like that. Get free coaching to help you out with that. Use our stock analyzer tool for free. Guys, there is so much in the group. Just check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you before the price expires and the price goes back up. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.